Good afternoon. Today's presentation will address the Colorado Shines Validation Study and the overview of findings. My name is Stacy Kennedy. I'm the Director for the Child Care Quality Initiatives Unit in the Office of Early Childhood at the Colorado Department of Human Services. Joining me today is Sarah Daly and Karen Imboden. Karen is the Manager for the Colorado Shines Quality Rating and Improvement System. Sarah is the Principal Investigator representing the larger Child Trends team, including the staff at Clayton Early Learning, who assisted with the data collection efforts. The Colorado Shines Quality Rating and Improvement System was launched in February of 2015. The validation study began shortly thereafter and was intended to support Colorado to implement a QRIS that measures quality in a meaningful way. To ensure that the framework utilizes clear, valid, and efficient procedures for verifying program quality, and to provide initial insights into how the Colorado Shines framework can support children's development and readiness for school. The validation study was conducted by Child Trends, an independent evaluator.
Thank you, Stacy. This is Sarah Daly. Before reviewing the study findings, I want to start by talking briefly about validation and why it's important. So when we talk about validation in the context of a QRIS, we're talking about a study that is designed to assess if the system is accurate and meaningful, because at the core of every QRIS are ratings of program quality, which can be high stakes for both providers and for families. This definition of QRIS validation presented on this slide emphasizes that validation should be viewed as a continuous quality improvement process. It will result in a set of findings that indicate if the system is working as intended and how it may further be improved. It will not result in a yes or no answer. Validation studies are also done over time, and different types of validation study questions will be useful at different stages of implementation of a QRIS. It's also important to consider that validation is just one piece of an ongoing QRIS evaluation plan. Validation research questions determine if the QRIS tools and processes lead to accurate and meaningful ratings of program quality. QRIS evaluations are designed to understand if the QRIS system is achieving its goals. So for example, understanding which technical assistance strategies are most effective in helping programs advance to the next level of quality. The Colorado Shines study was designed to incorporate both validation and evaluation-specific research questions. I want to acknowledge before we begin that the design of the Colorado Shines validation study was guided by research developed by the Office of Planning, Research, and Evaluation and the Administration for Children and Families. The specific design of our study included 4 main components. The first component of the study explored how Colorado Shines is supporting outreach to increase participation and to understand what motivates or hinders participation. The second component of the study was intended to learn about participants' overall perceptions, the challenges participants may have encountered with the rating process, and if they have any recommendations about future supports or modifications. The third part of the study focused on how quality improvement or QI supports such as coaching are being implemented, if there are early indications of effectiveness, and if providers report any changes in their practices as a result of receiving QI supports. Finally, our research team tested to see if both the traditional rating structure and the alternative pathway to rating provided a valid approach for assessing program quality. To complete this study, we used a mixed method approach for data collection. We used observational tools, including the environment rating scales, to learn about the quality of programs. We conducted numerous surveys to hear from different groups who are helping to implement Colorado Shines, such as coaches, QI navigators, and early childhood councils. We surveyed providers participating in Colorado Shines at levels 1 through 5, and we interviewed stakeholders who are part of the implementation team or who are supporting Colorado Shines in other ways.
Now let's review the findings from the study, starting with the first component, addressing outreach and participation. With the implementation of Colorado Shines, there was a shift from the state's voluntary rating system which covered about 10 to 15% of the licensed programs in the state, to the block and point system of Colorado Shines, which embedded licensing into the first level of quality. As this impacts all programs in the state, there was a specific role for all early childhood councils to engage and support programs. This led to the creation of a new role within early childhood councils, the Quality Improvement Navigator. This position works to support outreach, education, and technical assistance. And it was important for the state to provide support to those early childhood councils that did not historically provide quality improvement support in the past. In addition, the department created 3 statewide goals over the last 3 years to ensure that we were making progress with the implementation of Colorado Shines. The first goal addresses the engagement of licensed programs. This goal involved the increase in number of programs engaged in Colorado Shines at a level 2 or higher. The quality dispersion goal addressed community level circumstances to ensure that every family in communities had an option of at least one high-quality provider that accepted CCAP. The final goal addressed the CCAP enrollment. This goal intended to increase the number of children receiving CCAP, Colorado's Child Care Subsidy Program, that's being served in a high-quality program, a level 3 through 5.
So to share briefly a few selected highlights from our study, as shown in this slide, we tracked the number of programs who received a Colorado Shines rating from levels 2 through 5. During the time of our study, ratings increased steadily from June 2015 to May 2017 when our study concluded. Approximately half of all licensed programs were participating. On this next slide, we provide a brief snapshot of key reasons why providers reported participating in Colorado Shines, primarily to access quality improvement funding and professional development opportunities. While it's not shown on this slide, we also asked providers not actively participating in Colorado Shines at levels 2 through 5 why they are not engaged. The most frequently cited reason among these non-participants was a perception that the rating application and process might be difficult or time-consuming, or that they were concerned that their potential rating would not accurately reflect their program's quality.
Hi, everybody. This is Karen Imboden. And to address next steps and continued efforts around outreach and participation, our focus will continue to be on increased engagement across the state, along with access to high-quality programs, especially for children with higher needs. We'll be making ongoing efforts to exceed our state goals in these areas. For example, currently there are 37% of all Colorado communities offering high-quality options, and 57% of all receiving subsidy, CCAP subsidy that is are currently enrolled in high-quality programs across the state. Colorado Shines will continue to provide quality funding for engaged programs who are at a level 2 or higher and hold a fiscal agreement with their county DHS or social services office. Current funding levels will support the engagement of 60% of the 60% of provider population. And the next slide that I'll be showing and discussing represents current participation rates across the state. As I mentioned, we continue to see growth in participation. As of the end of January, the engagement rates have reached 52% of all licensed providers, with 67% of all centers engaged and 37% of all home engaged. In comparison, prior to implementation of Colorado Shines, the state saw overall engagement rates at less than 15% across the state.
Now we'll address the next component of the study, participants' perception of Colorado Shines. As mentioned earlier, the validation study began shortly after the implementation of Colorado Shines. It was important to gain an understanding of the impressions of early adopters to identify any additional needed supports. Colorado Shines was implemented incorporating new technologies, guidance documentation, and help desks. Additionally, ongoing support from rating administrators on a monthly basis occurred to support programs and address any questions that they had prior to going through the rating process. The validation study assists us in better understanding whether these supports were useful and to what extent we could change and modify supports to make them more meaningful to providers across the state.
When we asked participants to rank their overall impressions of Colorado Shines, most felt extremely positive, or somewhat positive about their experiences. In a follow-up question, we asked for more specifics, which included some common themes such as providers' positive perceptions about the goals, value, and intentions of Colorado Shines, participants' sense that they would recommend Colorado Shines to other providers, and participants reported that their experiences with coaching, professional development, and trainings contributed to their overall positive perceptions. While the overall perceptions of Colorado Shines were generally positive, some providers did share some concerns. On this slide, we first asked providers if they encountered any challenges during the rating process. If they said yes, we asked them to say more about their experiences, which generally fell into one of four common categories. First, a concern about the time needed to participate. Second, a sense that the process felt at times unfair, inflexible, or frustrating. A third theme was that there were some confusing aspects of Colorado Shines, or at times inconsistent communication about the process. And finally, a few reported challenges with technology or uploading documentation. While it's not listed on this slide, we also asked providers for their suggested improvements. Most of these comments related to the rating structure and process. So for example, family child care providers primarily suggested tailoring Colorado Shines for the unique structure of their care settings, reducing the time and paperwork involved in the rating process, and offering more support with the technology requirements needed to participate. Child care centers requested to clarify the evidence needed to meet specific requirements. Some requested to consider the unique structures and philosophies of their programs. Some requested to simplify the rating process and reduce the paperwork, and to request more support during the rating process from coaches or mentors.
For next steps around perceptions, given the study was done early in the process, feedback has been important to understand how best to support the programs who are participating. We will continue to review provider feedback and look for opportunities for process improvement. Some of the feedback referred to confusing language within the standard or the evidence documents. The department is looking to revise language or to support clear understanding, as well as provide additional training to our partners to support programs as they navigate the QRIS process. Additionally, the department looks to leverage data and input that will support an ongoing continuous quality improvement process. This should allow us to identify areas that could be strengthened, i.e., for an example, raising the bar, or changed if there's no evidence that standards are making meaningful differences.
The third component of the study looked at quality improvement, supports and perceptions of change in practice. For the purpose of this presentation, we focus primarily on coaching. With the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge grant funds, the state was able to offer merit awards to programs achieving a level 2, and then again in cases where programs achieved a level 3 through 5. Programs were able to use these quality incentive supports to access practice-based coaching, professional development, and early learning materials. This is very consistent with what has happened historically in the implementation of existing quality improvement programs like the Infant Toddler Quality and Availability Program and the School Readiness Quality Improvement Program, both programs that also operate under the Colorado Shines umbrella. As mentioned earlier, with the implementation of Colorado Shines Quality Rating and Improvement System, there were a number of councils that were either supporting a larger number of programs or that were supporting quality improvement supports for the first time. To address this, the state provided coach trainings and practice-based coaching strategies to ensure success. This portion of the validation study allowed the state to best understand how effective these supports were and how they could be modified to be more effective.
As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we surveyed several groups, including providers, coaches, quality improvement navigators, and early childhood councils about a range of topics, including their perceptions of the coaching supports that have been provided. Across all of these groups, the most frequently cited strategy for effective coaching included strategies such as conducting observations and providing feedback, helping providers with their environments, and building relationships with providers. We also learned from our surveys that the primary challenges related to coaching were related to the lack of sufficient hours to work with providers. Coaching turnover sometimes meant that there were instances in which there was inconsistent support provided to programs over time. And lastly, about half of the councils said they don't have enough coaches to provide services for Colorado Shines participants in their communities. They also explained that their coaches have limited capacity due to lack of funding, hours, training, or experience. Where the last slide focused on the coaching provided, this slide focuses more on the providers and the changes they've reported making as a direct result of participating in Colorado Shines. The full report provides a more extensive list of programmatic changes, but listed here are the most frequently reported changes, which include changes to the classroom environment, professional development, use of a lesson plan, and use of a curriculum.
For continued efforts and next steps around quality improvement supports, we do see the coaching role as significant to the ongoing quality improvement process. We require that coaches attain their credential and have training as well as participate in reflective practices. We will be continuing this practice and continuing to look for ways to support our coaches to be successful in their roles. Supports that were rolled out early with the implementation of Colorado Shines will be reviewed and updated. We look forward to additional online supports such as videos and guides. And we are looking to make updates to the guidance documents, such as the program guide and the evidence documents, making the process easier to understand and navigate. Our ratings vendor, Qualistar, offers monthly information sessions for programs who are participating in the rating. These sessions will continue to be offered, and programs are encouraged to take advantage of asking questions.
The final component of the validation study involved the Colorado Shines rating structure and validity. This is the fourth component of the study and the main focus. As a requirement for all Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge grantees was to have a validation study conducted for the new tiered quality rating and improvement system. This section of the study, again, intended to ensure the Colorado Shines rating is valid and supporting meaningful movement and quality, and that the framework informs continuous quality improvement efforts and differences between quality levels.
So to preview the major findings from the validation study, we wanted to know to what extent do level 3 through 5 programs have higher levels of observed quality as compared to level 2 programs when measured by the environment rating scales. These measures are designed specifically for use in infant toddler classrooms, preschool classrooms, and family child care homes. Overall, we found that the Colorado Shines rating structure does indeed accurately assess differences in program quality, which I explain more in the next few slides. So first, I think it's helpful for you to see the overall sample of classrooms that participated in the validation study. Overall, we conducted about 300 observations in different classrooms across the state. This table shows the number of classrooms by rating level, program type that were assessed using each observational tool. A few notes are important about how the programs were grouped. For the purposes of this study, level 3 through 5 programs were grouped together because at the time the study was conducted, there were few programs rated at the highest levels of Colorado Shines because implementation was just beginning. The number of programs within each rating level, for example, level 3 or level 4 or 5, was not large enough to have statistical power to compare individual ratings by level. So we had to group these programs together. It's also important to note that there are two types of level 2 programs in this study. Some level 2 programs completed the necessary requirements to move from a level 1 to a level 2 program, but had not yet gone through a full Colorado Shines on-site rating to receive a higher level 3 or higher rating. Another set of level 2 programs applied for a level 3 through 5 rating, but had not met the requirements to earn a level 3 or higher rating. So therefore, they remained a level 2. We sometimes called them a level 2 rated program for the purposes of this study. We looked at these two types of level 2 programs in the study to see if there were any differences among them in program quality. Lastly, given our sample sizes, we used t-tests to make comparisons between the groups noted above. I'll walk through these results in the next few slides. So in this first slide of results, we wanted to compare the level 2 programs that had not applied for a level 3 or higher rating with the level 2 programs who applied but did not receive a level 3 or higher rating. This slide shows that among our sample, there were no statistical differences in the observed program quality of these two groups as measured by the QRIS-3 or the ITERS-R. Therefore, we felt it was acceptable to combine these two types of level 2 providers for further analysis. The second slide of findings reports the key results of the validation study. That is, on all measures, the QRIS-3, the ITERS-R, and the ITERS-R, we found a significant difference in observed quality between level 2 providers and level 3 through 5 providers. Another component of the validation study included looking at the alternative pathway to a rating process. We conducted two sets of analyses to understand whether this alternative process accurately assigns the appropriate rating levels to automatically rated programs, for example, accredited and Head Start programs. And indeed, we found initial evidence that the alternative rating process is working as intended. First, because alternative pathways programs receive an automatic rating of level 3 or 4, we tested to see if alternative pathways programs had a similar observed program quality when compared to fully rated level 3 through 5 centers. The NS above the bar graph mean that there were no significant differences between how these programs scored. And this is what we expected, that alternative pathways programs would generally score similarly to their level 3 through 5 counterparts. Second, given that the scores of the alternative pathways programs are comparable to fully rated level 3 through 5 programs, we expected that these programs would score higher than level 2 programs on the QRIS-3. And indeed, this is what we found as represented on this slide. So in summary, we hope that the results of the evaluation study will help to inform Colorado in making adjustments to the system in the coming years. And the results from the validation study provide evidence that the rating structure is a valid approach for identifying meaningful differences in observed quality. For more information, you can read the full report at the Office of Early Childhood website.
For next steps and continued efforts around structure and validity, just want to say that we are thrilled that our rating system has been proven to be valid and is making meaningful differences. With that, the office looks to make enhancements that will support the system's ongoing validity. We will continue to review data that may inform policy changes in the spirit of continuous quality improvement. We look to make enhancements to the Colorado Shines technology system with a focus on user experience. We will continuously look to provide training supports for our coaches and quality navigators and to ensure programs have the best possible experience with their personal quality journey. At this point, we are wrapping up our presentation. For questions, we have provided links to our office staff and Child Trends partner staff. We want to thank you and our partners from Child Trends for preparing the study. We really appreciate their engagement and their detailed approach to the information that we've received. As noted, you can find the full report on the Office of Early Childhood website under the Quality Improvement tab. Thank you, everyone, for taking time to review this presentation.